Exactly 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the sun completely extinguishes, the final light waves strike the Earth. This is not a planetary winter, it is a terminal kinetic lockdown. The immediate collapse of solar thermal radiation forces a sub-zero atmospheric flash freeze, dropping surface temperatures by 15 degrees every 24 hours before permanent dark shatters the biological matrix. This is Protocol Midnight. This is the physics of a dying world. Hours after the final sunlight reaches Earth, civilization is still functioning. Roads remain crowded, airports continue operating, hospitals, factories, and communication networks remain online. From a distance, the world appears surprisingly normal. Behind the scenes, however, scientists are confronting the most important discovery in human history. Observatories across multiple continents have completed independent observations. Their conclusions match. The sun is no longer visible from Earth. No known natural phenomenon can explain the event. Astronomers continue searching for answers, but every passing hour produces the same result. The source of nearly all energy entering Earth's climate system is gone. Governments begin coordinating with scientific agencies and emergency management organizations. News broadcasts run continuously. Communication networks experience record traffic as billions of people seek information. Despite the uncertainty, daily life continues. Most stores remain open. Public transportation continues running. Emergency services remain fully operational. At the same time, the first measurable environmental changes begin to appear. Solar power generation drops to zero worldwide. Meteorological stations record a gradual decline in surface temperatures. The change is small, but consistent. Earth is still releasing heat stored in its oceans, atmosphere, and land. For now, that reserve is preventing a rapid collapse. Biologists also begin reporting unusual animal behavior. Many species rely on natural light cycles to regulate movement, feeding, and rest. Without normal daylight patterns, those signals begin breaking down. Yet the greatest challenge facing humanity is not the cold, it is uncertainty. No one knows whether the sun will return. No one knows how long existing systems can endure. And no one has a historical event to compare this situation against. By the end of day one, society remains intact. But for the first time in recorded history, every nation on Earth is preparing for a future without sunrise. The second day opens with a difficult calculation. Every heated building, illuminated street, and operating machine now depends entirely on stored resources. For decades, energy systems were designed around a predictable cycle. Day followed night. Production followed demand. That balance no longer exists. Utility operators begin redirecting power toward essential services. Hospitals, water treatment facilities, and communication hubs receive priority access as planners prepare for increasing pressure on national grids. Fuel consumption rises across colder regions. Warehouses report unusually high demand for generators, batteries, and heating equipment. In agricultural facilities, artificial lighting systems are activated around the clock. Growers attempt to preserve valuable crops, while researchers evaluate methods of sustaining food production without natural sunlight. Maritime shipping routes continue moving across the oceans. Cargo aircraft remain in the sky. Supply chains are still functioning, but contingency teams begin identifying vulnerabilities that could emerge if conditions continue deteriorating. Insurance companies suspend risk forecasting. Economic analysts abandon traditional models. No modern industry has ever operated under circumstances remotely similar to these. Meanwhile, satellites monitoring Earth detect another trend. Large population centers are becoming brighter. Cities consume increasing amounts of electricity as darkness remains uninterrupted. The challenge is no longer understanding the event. The challenge is managing the resources needed to endure it. Every system has limits. Every reserve has an endpoint, and every solution depends on time. By the conclusion of day two, society remains organized. But around the world, decision-makers are beginning to ask the same question. How long can existing resources carry a planet that no longer receives energy from its star? The first equipment failures begin appearing across the world. Most are minor. A damaged transformer, a worn generator, a component that was never designed to operate continuously under growing demand. Individually, these incidents are manageable. Collectively, they reveal a new problem. Modern infrastructure depends on constant maintenance, replacement parts, and predictable conditions. None of those assumptions apply anymore. Energy consumption continues rising as temperatures fall. Fuel reserves remain available, but inventories are being monitored more closely than ever before. In agricultural facilities, artificial lighting operates without interruption, increasing pressure on electrical networks. Wildlife researchers report growing disruptions in natural behavior as biological cycles lose their primary reference point. Financial institutions, manufacturers, and government agencies continue operating, yet planning beyond the near future becomes increasingly difficult. For the first time, leaders are no longer asking what happened. They are asking how long existing systems can continue functioning. By the end of day 3, society remains stable, but stability is no longer being taken for granted. Information begins to fail before infrastructure does. Reports arriving from different regions no longer match, creating confusion between agencies and decision-makers. As conflicting data spreads, response times begin to slow. Local authorities start making independent decisions instead of waiting for coordinated instructions. Communication networks remain active, but confidence in the information being shared begins to fade. For the first time, uncertainty becomes a problem of its own. Decisions that once took minutes now take hours, as officials attempt to verify what information can still be trusted. Different regions begin responding to the same situation in completely different ways. The systems connecting the world are still operating, but the coordination that once held them together is beginning to weaken. By the end of day 4, no major collapse has occurred. The world is still functioning, but for the first time, it is no longer moving in the same direction. Distribution networks begin breaking into isolated regions instead of functioning as one system. Goods still exist, but movement becomes uneven and unpredictable. Some cities continue normally, while others quietly ration essential supplies. Transportation remains active, but delays grow as coordination weakens. Fuel and food are still available, but access is no longer equal across regions. Hospitals continue operating, but resources are distributed unevenly depending on location. Communication still works globally, but reliable information is no longer shared consistently everywhere. Different regions begin operating under different levels of certainty. For the first time, survival conditions are no longer equal worldwide. By the end of day 5, the system still runs, but it is no longer connected as one. Essential supplies are still moving through the system, but availability is no longer consistent. Items that were easy to replace only days earlier begin disappearing from certain regions. Stores remain open, yet deliveries arrive less frequently and in smaller quantities. Repair crews struggle to obtain specialized parts, leaving damaged equipment offline for longer periods. Public services continue functioning, but maintenance backlogs begin to grow. For the first time, shortages become visible to ordinary people instead of existing only in forecasts and reports. Daily routines are still possible, but they now require planning, adaptation, and patience. By the end of day 6, society remains operational, yet normal life is becoming noticeably harder to maintain. Temporary measures begin turning into permanent routines. Families reorganize daily life around limited resources, changing schedules that had existed for years. Schools, businesses, and workplaces adapt to operating under conditions they were never designed to face. Repairs are delayed, replacements become less common, and people begin using equipment far beyond its intended lifespan. Communities rely increasingly on local solutions instead of expecting normal services to return. For the first time, hope of a quick recovery begins to fade. People are no longer waiting for life to return to normal. They are learning how to live without it. By the end of day 7, civilization still endures. But the world people remember is beginning to disappear. All of this happened in only 1 week. Protocol Midnight